Hi, guys. Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Hope you guys are having a great day out there. I wanted to wake up super early today, but for whatever odd reason, just the mind and body was not aligned too well. But since we're here, I do want to start off by taking a look at the men's 4x100. And you're going to ask why, since 99% of my videos have been on women's track and field. Well, it's really time to evolve. And also, special shout out, make sure you check out YouTuber Track and Ace. His channel is going through an interesting transition, and a lot of our channels that talk about track and field content, there's been strikes from maybe USATF or NBC. So if you want to help Track and Ace out, you could donate to his channel. And I have at least mentioned him in my video. So some of you guys might be familiar with his content already. Okay, so how do I want to start this out? Well, since I have not really talked about men's track and field, you might ask, what is the reason? Well, I got to say to you guys that my athletes growing up, you had Michael Johnson, Maurice Green, Carl Lewis. These are really the people that I looked up to back in the day. I mean, when you talk about grit, when you talk about strength, and just the hard work and sheer resilience of just running on that track and giving it all your all. And there's something special about the 80s and 90s. It was the generation of Rambo, of Terminator, all the big guys. Talk about masculinity to its peak, to its like echelon. I think that was the generation that was really, really interesting. I was into, if you look at Hulk Hogan of the WWF, Worldwide Federation, but they changed their name to WWE about maybe 15 years ago. Dude, it was like WrestleMania. Just everyone was fast. And I recall even in high school, like you really wanted to lift weights so you could be bulky, so you could, like literally everyone had calves, like muscle calves and just biceps, playing football. And it was just a high school thing to be really big and muscular. And I remember one game, or actually, let me tell you a story about track. Like, I would say that track and field in my generation, when it came to the sprinters, we literally looked like football players. And to compare this generation, where everyone looks small and skinny, I'm like, what the heck? What the heck? And we didn't even take any substances. That was the thing. You might ask, what makes this generation of athletes different than 20, 30 years ago? I will tell you that they have the cheat code. What do I mean by cheat code? All the training, all the information they have right now where they can improve their technique from a young age. They know how to manage rest and endurance. So you have all this information from latter years, and the new generation knows how to use it. Now, obviously, you still have to work. And I won't say that they're not giving it their all, but they have a much information that they can consume. And the coaches that are helping them grow are athletes or were athletes presently who are retired and helping them reach new echelons, reach new peak without having to overrun your legs and burn your mileage up. Now, talking about the guys from yesteryears, it brings me to Sha'Carri Richardson, where I think the reason why even the older generation are appreciating her more is that when it comes to that grit, that strength, resilience, that fight inside, she has shown that type of attitude this season. Even if I look at her 100-meter races, and there's about 8 or 9 that we can look at, she's just tough, grinding it out, so laser focused. I don't know if I want to compare her to Flojo right now. Flojo was like a 10.5, but I could see certain characteristics of Flojo in Sha'Carri Richardson. And Sha'Carri Richardson also had role models just like myself from a few decades. Sha'Carri Richardson looked up to Flojo. Hey, so maybe she sees a lot of that strength from that previous generation and able to replicate that to help her win. I'm not sure, but it's good when I see the younger athletes look up to those ladies as role models because Flojo did carry a lot of charisma that is unmatched even by a few right now. So shout out to her. And while I talk about the Terminator, if you look at even the comic books back then, you had arts representing what pop culture was. And I think it's a reflection of the people that we grew up from back then. Just everything just seemed tough. Everything just seemed badass. Just, you know. So yeah, that's why I really haven't really talked about men's track and field because I'm still stuck in that era. So what I think will be interesting to maybe myself and to a lot of you guys is when I talk about today's men's, I'm going to try to bring up people from past generation, not just the 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, and even 50s, just to at least spark some interesting points. And we will see how that goes. Okay, now I do want to share a story, and this is about regret. Now, the 80s and 90s were known as the doping era, and some athletes who were competing in relays, if one person doped, all of a sudden, from what I heard back then, your medals were taking over. Like they were stripped from their gold medals or silver or bronze. And I thought that was rather crazy because those 2 decades, 80s and 90s, I can't say that most people were doping, but it seemed like that was part of the culture. And I think for that individual that had doped, guys, it's been several decades. Just let that type of stuff go. It's been a long time. And I think athletes who have the grudges don't really help themselves end of the day. And hey, you had that teammate that you have not talked to in a long time because you lost that medal. It's time to move on. The reason why I bring this up is that I had one guy who I met. He was a high school football teammate, and I met him a few years ago. And he was pissed at me because in a football game, I stepped out of bounds and we had a penalty, but that penalty cost us a spot in the playoffs. And so when I met him a few years ago, he looked at me still bad. And I was like, dude, that was 2 decades ago. Move on with your life, dude. And you're going to have some people stuck in that time frame, that world. It has a spot of bitterness in your heart, but they aren't able to get past that. I'd say we all have trauma that we deal with. Yes, therapy is good, but sometimes if we look at the bigger picture, there is a lot left in life, and we can't really hold on to those grudges because it's just a waste of time. Even looking back at high school, I still think about that moment, and I'm like, bro, even myself, if I still haven't moved on, I'm causing that self-damage to myself. Seriously, high school. Oh my goodness. All right. And I'm going to get this question. Who is my pick 44 by 100? I seriously have not been keeping up with this event. And I tell you guys what, I'm going to start making a lot of men's track and field videos because I've seen the interest increase, and so has YouTuber Track and Ace. I don't have a strong pick 44 by 100 right now, but the one person I definitely want to consider looking at the men's finals, 100 meters, Christian Coleman. He's always been the guy that's stuck out. My second one is Noah Lyles, but I'm really debating on this one. I want to take time and take a look at how the men's have performed in the USA sprint relays that have took place this season to see who has it, who doesn't. Now, I know United States, the track and field did run relays for the women because I made videos on those, and I want to focus on the men to see who really has been performing well as a team and structure, because there's a difference between just running the individual 100 meters and performing in a relay. It's just different. You have to consider who works well when they get that baton or they're passing it. So a lot of factors go into that. I can't just say, okay, let me pick this for. Let me read your names: Crayvon Charleston, Christian Coleman, Noah Lyles, Brendan Carnes, and let me just add them into a relay. No, that's not how it's gonna work. So if there's videos that NBC or USA Track and Field have posted, I'm going to take a look at that before I post it on what I think is my 4x100 meter lineup. And that's all I'm going to say as far as that. Definitely a second video coming up. But again, if I were to pick one person on my relay, it'd be Christian Coleman and maybe Noah Lyles. But again, I want to see how Noah Lyles performed in other tapes. Now, let me go to my channel. And if you don't know Track and Ace, make sure you check out his YouTube channel. He also talked in his last video how he is going to maybe cover men's track and field as well, because that's going to be interesting. And I've noticed that there's a level of interest in men's this season, which, I mean, it's really been flat for the past few years, but it seems to have ticked up a little bit. So I'm definitely going to try to showcase as much men's content. But guys, since I'm part of that 80s, 90s generation, I'm going to also input a lot of the athletes that have already retired just to get me back again interested in that segment of the sport. But let me know what you think. Let me go to a couple comments from a few videos since I am on here right now, because you guys did leave some dope comments. I'm going to go to several of them. No, that is my main audio page. 5,688 subscribers, and I could not have done it without you guys. Okay, so let's go to a comment from the Shikari video I last posted down here. No comments so far. Let's go to a Lena Irby Jackson video and see what's going on there. Leroy says, you are exactly right. It seems like they try to find the worst or the ugliest picture they can find of the people. I noticed that myself. Now, what does he mean? If you go to the World Athletics page, they have the worst pictures of athletes that I have seen, and they could update it with better athletes. And let me go to one. Let me go to Jenna Prandini, because that one really sticks out. And if we go to her profile, let's go to her profile as it loads. That is not the best looking picture of Jenna Prandini, and she definitely has public pictures out there, but it's one of those little things that World Athletics can change. But let me go to one that is recent of Haynes, and this is one of, it's pronounced Haynes. Thank you, Philo Biblian, for giving me the right pronunciation of her name. But if you notice, there's no picture on here. So it's the little things that United States Track and Field can work with the World Athletics to make sure everyone has a updated picture on your bio. All right, and Leroy also says they are not true track fans if they lose interest because one person's not there. Nothing's guaranteed in track and nothing's guaranteed in track and field. Now, there are so many people who are fans of one or two athletes in track and field. I get it. It sucks, especially when your athlete is injured. Do you want to watch a video again of a different track and field athlete? I get it, guys. Now, for me as a YouTuber, that's my job to figure out how to keep the content engaging and interesting. So if you were a Sha'Carri Richardson fan last season, you were probably disappointed because you did not see her perform at Worlds and she did not run much races. But this season, hey, she came back. The Sha'Carri Richardson fans are definitely there. They are excited. I get it. And same thing for Abby Steiner. She's hurt, so she's not going to be running for the rest of the season. And I understand you guys upset. Your favorite athlete's not there. And that gives me a different type of frame on the question I want to pose to you guys. How can I make the content interesting so you guys come back? But that's also where I have to figure out, well, if they don't like Abby Steiner, will they like an athlete like boy, I can't pronounce her name. Irby Jackson. Those I's and R's are so Irby Jackson, Lena Irby Jackson. And if I make a video about Lena Irby Jackson and they like it or don't like it, then it's going to tell me to go to either direction A or direction B. It's interesting. I like challenges like that because now it gives me the opportunity to experiment with different things. And that also involves asking you guys questions and reading your feedback. That's my job as a YouTuber. I've been in this game for a long time, track and ace as well, and that's why sometimes I put up polls of different athletes. And let me go over to this poll since I have posted it in the community tab a few days ago, and right now it has reached up to 251 votes, where majority of you guys in the Silesia, Poland Diamond League meet, 52% were interested in Sha'Carri Richardson in the 100 meters. Now, if Gabby Thomas was running in that Poland event, which she did not, majority of you guys would have wanted to see Gabby Thomas, and the rest of you guys, I say 16%, would have liked to see Ellie. Also, her name is Elena. Last name is Haynes. Boy, that's going to take me some time to really try to pronounce her name. And it's great I'm doing this YouTube video because it allows me to break through my mind and pronounce these great, excellent names better. And 5% of you guys would have wanted to see Lynn Irby Jackson. So, I put these polls just to kind of learn what you guys are interested in. And since Abby Steiner, I mean, she's gone for the rest of the season, but she will be back and ready for U.S. Olympic trials, which would be exciting next year. I put this poll intentionally as well. I said, these athletes did great. Excuse me. I want to make sure I pronounce that right. Let me start over. All of these athletes did great your first year, but I have to pick one. Which rookie really stood out to you? And by the way, Anna Hall's stats are right here. Track and field did not really showcase much of Anna Hall's events because they took place earlier at Nationals this year, which really sucked. So people did not have enough time, I felt, to really learn who Anna Hall is. But she's definitely a really good athlete. 34% of you guys said Anna Hall is the most outstanding rookie. 59% of you guys, amazing. Majority of you guys said Abby Steiner. And 7% of you guys said Melissa Jefferson, which is very, very interesting. And I get intrigued about these polls because they help me learn what you guys' tastes are. And I'm glad a lot of you guys are participating. We had 392 votes on the Rookie of the Year for their first season. Majority of you guys picked Abby Steiner over Anna Hall, which was incredible. Well, which also tells me that I have to do a better job at coverage. If Nationals, USA Track and Field, NBC is not going to cover some of these athletes that I think you guys should know about, then that's where I need to step in and showcase Anna Hall's talent so you guys are knowledgeable of what she's done this season. So there's a lot of opportunity in the space left. So we had 392 votes for Rookie of the Year, and for the past event, we had 251 votes. Very interesting, very interesting. All right, guys, sorry for this long-winded broadcast. I had to put my athletes on there, Michael Johnson, Maurice, Carl Lewis. So, hey, I'm glad that I'm doing this because, again, now that I'm showcasing men's content, I'll have an interest to do comparisons between athletes of yesterday versus today. And we'll see how that goes. And I'll take you guys' feedback along the way. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye.